Here's a submission from Noah 111, um, who you think you're getting too much vibration. Flight characteristics are pretty good. Interesting setup you've got here. 6x45 props on 2207 2100 motors. That's a little bit bigger motors than a lot of pilots are flying these days. Should be interesting. Um, PID controller 1. I am also running PID controller 1 right now. You are in good company? You're in company. I know everybody flies LuxFloat now that Boris has made some improvements to it, but I hate retuning. Once I've got a good tune, I hate having to start from scratch because I don't know if you can tell, I'm so anal retentive about tuning that I just nitpick it to the nth degree, and it's actually takes a lot of time away from just flying. So once I've got a tune, I'm really hesitant to change anything. But there you go. Um, Everything you've got here seems about, normal. Loop time 1000, gyro sync 188, all of that is normal with what Boris is recommending, so no issues there. Let's just have a look at your dump here. I did look at your values. P value of 5.4, 0.34, and 27, 4.8. All of that seems about right. I usually have to put pitch I higher than roll I, maybe as much as twice as high. But if you're happy with how it flies, that's all that really matters. If it maintains attitude on like a strong throttle punch out, hey, that's all that matters. I do notice that your D values are kind of low, and I suspect, well, for PID controller 1, a starting point is that D can be about 10 times P. That's with the soft filters. Without the soft filters, you're never going to get there. It's going to be so noisy, it's going to be a mess. But since you have soft filters, I would expect to see D values around 40 to 60. With no other information, that's where I would sort of expect them to be. So yeah, I'm guessing we're going to find that it's too low. Let's have a look. So as usual, I'm starting with your gyros, just to see how your filtering is doing. Can't do a lot with a noisy quad. Your gyros look okay. Your pitch is the noisiest of them and is a borderline too noisy, but probably it's not making. If you could get it quieter, I'd like it, but it's not to the level where I think it's like really a problem. Your roll and your yaw seem okay. There's not a lot you're going to be able to do about that. It may be because you're running lower kV motors with larger props. If you're running 3S, I don't see any battery information in your log. That's interesting. If you are running 3S, then that would also support that hypothesis. It doesn't say what your battery is here. But okay, your gyros are okay. What are your filtering? What's your filtering set to? Gyro cut 0. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, that's no good. A nice try. I don't think that was you're trying to be a high performance flyer, but I don't think that's the best setting for you. You have gyro LPF 188, gyro cut 0. At the very least, get gyro cut to like 100, but try gyro cut at 60 and see if that's better for you in terms of everything. See if that flies better. I don't think it's gyro cut of 0 is a good choice for most people. Um, I don't think that I don't. The reason I say that is I don't think the risk benefit is worth it. I think that you're having a minimal reduction in latency by cutting that filter out, but the negative effect of the noise that gets in is going to far outweigh that. That's my hunch. I haven't done a ton of testing to back that up, but that's my hunch. So I think you should definitely set that to at least 100, maybe even lower, like 60. Try it, see how you like it. Okay, let's have a look then at some of your PIDs. You guys may notice I don't do a lot of looking at yaw. And the reason for that is I think it's very hard to tune yaw. I've said this before. I think it's very hard to tune yaw without actually having your hands on the sticks or without having a specific complaint that you're trying to solve. So that's why I don't really look at it much on these. Your D term looks noisy on roll, or sorry, that's pitch. Your D term looks noisy on pitch. That will probably clean up when you add some filtering on your gyro cut. Your D term cut is 10. I feel like that's a fine value. Your noisiness here is probably because of gyro cut not being filtered enough, and you know that's why we need filtering on gyro cut. There's nothing to uh, brag about running gyro cut of 0. You know, at the end of the day, the helicopter flies and the traces are what matters. You're not going to impress any girls at the bar by saying, "Hey, I run my copter with gyro cut of 0." So there's nothing to prove there. To change that number, I think, is the right choice. We're seeing some noise here as well. It's not as bad on roll. It's interesting that your pitch is worse than your roll. Neither of them are bad per se, but your pitch is worse than your roll. It's usually the other way around. Whatever. So let's just get the D term out of here. And I think let's get the I term because I'm pretty sure your I values are probably pretty nominal. And let's just zoom out here and see if anything interesting happens. Here is what appears to be, yes, a roll. Let's have a look at it. Here's our gyro. P term pushes into the roll, goes to the same direction as the gyro, goes above the axis. We got a little bit of oscillation here. A little bit of oscillation here. Never sort of stops oscillating. It's not oscillating like crazy. It's not oscillating. It's like a few oscillations, not like crazy. And now we're slowing down. And we got some overshoot, bounce back, and a little bit of oscillation. 1, 2 oscillations maybe at the end. And oh, what is going on here? Oh, more oscillations. Yeah, and here's the gyros oscillating too. It's not good. Let's have a look at what it looks like on the camera, and that will tell the tale. Oh yeah, did you see that? It's really fast. I'm guessing this is a 4S setup. I wasn't sure what battery you were using. Let me turn the volume up all the way so my computer can pick it up. Oh, sorry about that. And let's listen. Whoa, yeah, yikes. So let's have a look at what your D term is, because so a good rule of thumb is if you see more than 2 oscillations, don't try and tame that with D term. It's probably that your P is too high. So I see like at least 3 oscillations there. And I don't know if my video recording software is really picking it up very well in terms of how its frame rate versus the frame rate of the video, but there's like at least 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I think you're on the edge of what I would expect to see be able to tune out with D. But I think it might be worth, I mean, we already said your D values were probably a little too low. Let's just have a look again back at your D graph. Here, now I took it out, now I'm going to put it back in. Yeah, so it's not doing nothing. It's not dramatically low. I think you could probably stand to decrease your P. Let's see if I can find a high throttle area and see what it does when your throttle goes high. I guess I could just look down here as well. Here's 1600 is not exactly a high throttle. I don't see any. That's I think as high as your throttle goes. Here's you go to, and again 1600. Looking for oscillations here as your throttle goes high. Let's just watch the video for a second. Yeah, can you hear it? I don't know if you can hear it on the computer, but it's there. You hear that? You hear that oscillation? That is a telltale sign of excess P. Okay, now I'm not even hedging my bets anymore. You definitely need to reduce your P term. But hang on, back up. First change your gyro cut and fly again. It's possible that removing that noise will clean things up to the point where your PID loop will do a good job. and these problems will go away. I think it's unlikely. I wouldn't put a number on it, but I don't think it's I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. Once you've changed your gyro cut hertz um, to 60 and these problems are still there, then decrease your P a little bit. Leave D alone for now. Decrease P until you can do a punch out like this, and you don't see that. Now, you might say, well, can I use TPA to tune that? And yes, absolutely you can. Personally, I mean, you're up at around 1700. So you're not exactly at the top of the range yet. If you had, I mean, I cut my TPA in around 1600, I think. Um, so you're not at the point where TPA would be doing a ton unless you had a really high TPA value and or a low threshold. So I feel like this is a case where, especially because you're having the bounce back on the rolls, where that's all sort of telling you P is just too high and needs to be dropped a little bit. Yeah, that's what I would say. You could certainly also try leaving P alone and adding D. I think you're on the edge. If it was a little bit worse, I would say it's not that's not the right way to go. But I think you're at the edge of where that might work. So try number one, take your gyro cut hertz, set it to 100, set it to 60. See if either of those fixes the problem. Definitely don't put it back at 0. Have it at least at 100. Try raising your D on pitch and roll to 50 and see what that does. If that makes an improvement or moves you in the right direction. And then try reducing your P on pitch. Yeah, on roll for sure. I mean, I haven't dug into pitch too much. Can I find a flip here? Let's see if I can find a flip real quick before we wrap up. I don't see a flip yet. Man, is this a flip right here? Yeah. No, no flip. Nope, no flip. Well, anyway, there you go. Let's take a look. What do you got for your values? 5.4 and 4.8. Try taking that down to 5.1 and 4.5. So drop those by 0.3 and see what that does. That's what I would say. Okay. Hope that was helpful. Happy flying.